right, guys, we are back. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. Well, as you may have heard, 2 days ago, Nikon released the Nikon Z5. And I thought about this camera for a little bit here and came to the conclusion, or really started thinking back to when I had my Nikons and so forth. And now, one of the complaints I had with the Nikon Z lineup was that there wasn't an entry-level full-frame option. Sure, the Z6 might fulfill that for some people, but it's so focused on video that Nikon photographers who are interested or who need a budget-friendly full-frame mirrorless camera were kind of left out in the cold. Well, that's now changed, of course, with the introduction to the Z5. Now, in today's video, I'm going to share with you 7 things that you need to know about Nikon's newest full-frame camera. There are some really nice features, and there are some that, well, aren't so great. And we're going to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly coming up. But first, before we dive into this video, I want to say hello to you if you are new to the channel, or here for the first time rather. We put out weekly videos on all sorts of subjects: photography news, how-to videos, gear reviews, and much more. Plus, we have monthly giveaways with some pretty cool prizes, if you ask me. Now, to stay up to date on our latest content, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Subscribing is one of the things that you have to do to qualify for a giveaway, so if anything else, you might get some awesome photography gear out of this deal. All right, now let's get to the good stuff, so pull up a seat and let's go! To start things off, the Z5 has IBIS. Now, there were rumors that the Z5 would have a 5-axis in-body stabilization system, and the rumors were correct. IBIS is a huge bonus feature for any entry-level full-frame camera. It allows you to handhold cameras in situations that which other cameras would suffer from camera shake. For example, my USR doesn't have IBIS, and that's $400 more than the Z5, so good for Nikon incorporating this feature into this budget-friendly camera. Next, continuous shooting is not good. One of the surprising bad specs about the Z5 is that it is only capable of 4.5 frames per second continuous shooting. And I get it. This isn't a camera aimed at sports photographers or wildlife photographers, but I mean, 4.5 frames per second is kind of mediocre at best. As a comparison, the full-frame Canon EOS RP, which is obviously, that's an older camera, and at about $100 less, that shoots at 5 frames per second. The Sony a6600, which is, that's an APS-C camera, it's a mirrorless camera, but that shoots at 11 frames per second and is virtually the same price as the Z5. Now, I get it here. This is a feature that Nikon needed to minimize in order to separate itself from the Z6. But the Z6 shoots at 12 frames per second, so Nikon had a little bit of room here to juice up the Z5 just a little bit. I mean, 6-7 frames per second, that still would have given enough space between the Z5 and the Z6. Next, hello dual card slots. So many people complained and criticized Nikon about the Z6 and the Z7 only having a single card slot. Now, I wasn't one of them, but I do understand why it bothered so many photographers. Well, it turns out Nikon listened to all the complaints and incorporated dual card slots in the Z5. Both slots are UHS 2, so there's no XQD or CF Express card slots. But frankly speaking, with this camera, you don't need the faster XQD or the CF Express cards anyways. They're much more expensive, so using UHS 2 cards is a much more budget-friendly option. Next, 4K video has a huge crop. Just like my Canon EOS R, the Nikon Z5 is limited to shooting 4K with a 1.7x crop. And while that turns a lot of people off, well, I'm not bothered by the crop of my EOS R in the very least. Who knows? You might find that it isn't a big deal for you either. I think the bigger problem is that the Z5 shoots 4K at 30p in 1080 at 60 frames per second, though you can record without a crop at 1080p. Now, thinking about it, this is obviously not a camera aimed at videographers, nor should it be. The Z6 really does a fantastic job at that. And as I mentioned a moment ago, Nikon needs to differentiate between this camera and the Z6 to prevent any sort of overlap between the two. And besides, this is an entry-level camera, so we shouldn't expect mind-blowing specs all all the way around. And speaking of which, the Z5 inherited a few specs from its big brothers. Even though the Z5 is an entry-level camera, it managed to inherit some pretty nice features from the Z6 and the Z7. Now, we already discussed IBIS, but in addition to that, the Z5 has the same X-Speed 6 processor as the Z6 and the Z7. Eye detection AF and a hybrid autofocus system that uses both contrast detect and phase detect autofocus points. The autofocus system has 273 autofocus points, which is the same number as the Z6. Now, the Z5 also has weather sealing just like the Z6 and the Z7. On top of that, the Z5 has a similar 3.69 million dot EVF to the one that's found in the Z7. And if you've seen photos of the Z5, you'll notice it has essentially the same design as the Z6 and the Z7. Now, the only major difference is that the mode dial on top of the camera is to the right of the EVF on the Z5 versus on the Z6 and the Z7, it's on the left-hand side. The Z5 has a 24.3 megapixel sensor, which is similar in resolution to the Z6, but the difference is the Z5 sensor is not backlit like the Z6 and the Z7. Next, the touchscreen doesn't articulate. Now, the Z5 has a 3.2-inch touchscreen LCD with a 1.04 million dots of resolution. Now, it does tilt up, it does tilt down, but it does not articulate. The lack of articulation means that you can't use the camera vlog style, so all you YouTubers out there looking for a new camera will probably not want this one. The Z6 and the Z7 don't have articulating screens either, so it isn't surprising that this one doesn't have it as well. Now, on a side note, the lack of articulating screen is one of the reasons why I ditched the Z7 in favor of the Canon EOS R. It might seem like a minor detail, but those of us that create video content, a front-facing screen, ooh, is really helpful. And ooh, that was really corny. I feel like kicking my own ass for doing that. But you know what? That was funny stuff, and so I'm going to keep it here. Let's talk about the Z5 price. Now, if you want my 2 cents, the $1,400 price tag for this camera is a little bit on the steep side. At this price point, you get a camera that has tons of great features and a few that really aren't great. But it's a threshold that's a little bit steep for their target market, since the camera, guys, is really aimed squarely at DSLR shooters to upgrade to the mirrorless and also APS-C shooters who want to step into the full-frame camera market. I think a price range of right around $1,100 to even $1,200 would have been a much better spot. At any rate, I think the Z5 is really going to hit it out of the park, even in spite of having some less than ideal specs, and the price is a bit high. Well, who knows? Time will tell. You can order the Z5 at Anorama right now in 2 forms. You can get the body only, as I mentioned a moment ago, which is $1,400, and they also sell it as a kit for $1,700, and that's going to come with a 24 50mm lens, which is a f4 to 6.3. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link down below so you can check out some additional photos, details, descriptions, and if you want to pre-order one, you can do that as well. Now, the camera will start shipping in August, so there's going to be a little bit of a wait, but if you want to lessen your wait, guys, it's best to order or put your pre-order in now rather than later. I'm sure there's going to be a limited supply due to the pandemic. And who knows how long that wait will be once that initial round of these cameras is sold out. All right, guys, let's switch gears from the Z5 and talk about our current giveaway. This is what we have for prizes this month. A Peak Design carbon fiber tripod, a Peak Design travel backpack, a Peak Design everyday backpack, and a $100 Adorama gift card. As always, entering the giveaway is really simple. Step 1, like this video and subscribe to our channel. Step 2, leave a comment below. In fact, the more of our videos that you watch and leave a comment on, the more chances that you have to win. So get watching some more other content and leave some comments. Step 3, register on PhotographyTalk and introduce yourself in the forum. Now, if you did register on the site during the last giveaway and introduce yourself, you're still eligible to win this time. But as I keep saying, swing on by, say hello, we'd love to see you. For complete details on the giveaway, including how to register on PhotographyTalk and how to say hello on the forum, check out the description below. Good luck. Well, there you go, friends. 7 things to know about the Z5 by Nikon. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button down below. If you are currently not subscribed to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button. We would love to have you part of the community. And of course, hit the bell to be notified each time that we come out with a new video. Friends, I'm going to jump on out of here. You get out there, stay healthy, stay safe, and create your best shot.